Welcome to episode 4 of Just Some Points. My name is Thomas Hafsa, I'm managing partner at Points Group, and I have
Rory Devlin, head of digital.
And Melissa Rupel.
Last week we skipped episode because we're all full stuff with Turkey, but nevertheless I think we brought some really interesting stuff today to Just Some Points. I know, want to go? Rory?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So hasn't been too much news the past couple weeks, but there's been some stuff. One thing out of Google My Business is they will have local guides now. So I'm not sure, they're going to be incentivized to leave their reviews, and there has been local guides, but you can now follow them. So they're adding a social element to Google My Business.
Like travel guides or or community guides? People that just know what's going on?
Like local events and where to go and this, that, and the other. So you can turn to this person as like a local expert for, fine dining in the area or some events coming up. So I think what it's doing is, I don't know how they're going to do it, but maybe incentivize this little social community that they've created. And it's interesting because Google in the past has failed a couple times to create a social media platform. So
that's right.
Google Plus was shut down.
They failed horribly.
Yeah, nobody used it. And I don't know if it's actually shut down or they're still working on shutting it
down.
down.
No, they shut it down.
Yeah, okay. So now it looks like they're trying to just add social elements to a successful product.
That's really interesting. I'm wondering how, if they will succeed with that, if people will start creating businesses with that.
Yeah. I mean,
because there's an opportunity. If they incentivize you becoming the local guide, and then people start reaching out to you, there is definitely business opportunity.
Of course, yeah. It kind of reminds me of, remember back in the day, it was people were saying, oh, I'm a super reviewer on Yelp. I go and I eat my dinners for free now.
Which is actually, in a way, if you look at it, these people will become localized community influencers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people go to them and say, hey, where should I go? Now they say, well, go to that restaurant, go to that hairdresser, go to whatever. They become de facto.
That's a really good point. There's an avenue there for influencer marketing.
That's right, but it's a completely different type of influencer marketing because it's completely localized.
Yeah.
It's literally breaking that down completely.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They just introduced that?
Yeah. So I think it came out either a week ago or 2 weeks ago when they first mentioned it.
We should watch that and look into that again in a few weeks or a few months and see what it's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll start reviewing some on my personal accounts to get my local.
Okay. I thought, since we're close to the end of the year, I thought I want to talk about just interesting trends to watch for next year, specifically to social media. And I was just doing some research and also, talked with the staff, and I came up with a list of 6. Number 1, influencer marketing will continue to grow despite all the setbacks they had, with not showing the likes and all of those things, but influencer marketing. It's showing, research shows that 59% of marketers plan to increase the influencer marketing, which is really huge. Shopping on social will be huge. And I see that with my kids. They are much quicker to actually act on something happening on social and then buying. And it's also for them, all the social media platforms, just a way or avenue to make more money. So that itself will drive it.
Yeah.
So we will see more of that because it's just one click away.
Yeah. I don't know if Facebook's integrated e-commerce on the platform yet. I don't think so, but I'd imagine that's in the book.
So, but I was reading a really interesting article about Facebook's business plan for the next couple of years, and they want to get into they want to be like the next Google, where all of a sudden they're going to have podcasts and a workplace environment and newsletters, and they want to start integrating so many different more things than just social media.
Oh, right.
And it's going to be a really interesting year, I think, to see what new marketing tools become available to social media.
They just launched the Match.com functionality, like the dating app now, Facebook.
Oh, so Facebook has a dating service now.
Yep.
Which is huge, because if you think about,
nobody could provide better.
That's exactly
matches,
right.
It's
that's exactly right. So that is a huge threat to the Match.com industry.
Yeah.
It's really huge. they will rock the boat in that industry. I'm sure that everybody feels jittery about that.
Yeah. I mean, they're really putting their fingers in a lot of places, right? They got the money, the Libra thing. So I wonder how that'll tie in with the
so
e-commerce.
far, I only heard kind of.
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's like I think it's will be booked under. Okay, we tried it. But it failed horribly.
Too many regulatory hurdles there.
Yeah. The third trend I'm bringing is stories. Stories will become marketer's darlings, meaning we had that Snapchat started it with the stories that you can, you create your stories and people follow the stories that you create. But other platforms are applying that and using that. I know we, for example, we use stories on Instagram now, and so you will see that more because the stories allow you to re-market better in a more applicable way. People react to stories better than just, hey, this is what we do or whatever. It just tags more on the emotions of people.
Yeah.
Then interesting, what's developing and becoming more mainstream is something that actually I worked with the guy behind the camera here and a few years ago, which is augmented reality. We've done actually some augmented reality. Frank has worked on that a few years ago. And it was still a little awkward, and the technology that we used was actually fairly expensive and not so user-friendly, but this is becoming more mainstream. IKEA, for example, is having an app that allows you to take one of take the furniture and project it at home into your environment, so you can see exactly how it would look, which is great application.
Think about that for healthcare. I can think of all kinds of applications for patient experience.
Oh yeah, actually we actually at the time 2 or 3 years ago we thought about actually creating an app with augmented reality for direction. If you go in a hospital, sometimes it's a maze. In the bigger hospitals, you get lost in those. And we were thinking about an app where you just basically have the app open and you see basically where you are and it points you to the left, right. You just type in where to go.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to actually use a technology like that in a very practical fashion in a healthcare environment.
It's also a very good way to kind of like shop around. Like when I was looking for a new car, I'd get like magazine articles and ads, and you can like put your phone up to like the augmented reality part, and then all of a sudden like a video pops up and gives you like either like a commercial or like features of the car, and like more and more, or I guess me specifically looking for a new car, like I saw it in a couple of different brands too, so it was kind of a cool way to see like variations of things.
That's cool. Very good. So I'm happy to see that we becoming mainstream. I definitely want to look into that again. Chatbots, we played around with that in the past, but the chatbots, they're really becoming more sophisticated. One of the big changes that chatbots now made in terms of progress is in the past you really had to pre-program the chatbots with answers. Okay, if this is being asked, then answer this. It was too static or not flexible enough. Where now the chatbots, they're now capable of going out on the internet, in the cloud, and searching for answers for potential questions. So they just become a little bit more dynamic, which also relates to their role to the last one. The last trend I have is improved customer service. And that's certainly true for healthcare, but it's becoming true across the board, across all industries. A lot of products and services become commodity products and services. So it's the service that really makes you differentiate from your competition. But let's say for a lot of healthcare providers, they can't provide 24/7 service. Like call centers, they're very expensive. So what we will see more is more integrated customer service that are using chatbots, for example, at night, but it are fully integrated into the call centers, into more functional websites, like with our Triage Track product, for example, that allows you to integrate the website with the call centers. So those were six really interesting trends that I found that really worthwhile to watch next year, and I certainly also matching what we are seeing on a day-to-day basis with our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly a lot of interest in customer service. We see that on our website. The search volume there is, specific to healthcare too. Yeah.
How is actually as a marketer, how is the customer service for us as an agency that we receive, let's say, from a Google or Facebook? When we have questions and need to get in touch, are they good at that?
So Facebook is not good. It used to be non-existent. Now you can get on the phone or you can get on a chat with somebody, but lots of times it's going to be a canned response. This is going to take some time. So not great. Google, for the size of the company, I would say that they're pretty accessible for support. It's outsourced, so it can be a little troublesome communicating the issues sometimes, but I'd say as far as getting in touch, it's pretty immediate, and our customer service, my experience with them, it's been, I'd say, pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, since we mentioned Google, I have one question. This week you mentioned something that they made some significant changes again that impacted our ads or our clients' ads.
Yeah. So basically, a couple of our clients got flagged, and it was the same day. They both got flagged, and they both are long-running accounts. No changes to the campaigns recently, the overall setups, no new ad copy, but all of a sudden they got flagged and taken down. Now, what happened is they flagged a keyword on the client website that then triggered the disapproval of these ads. So, of course, we reach out to them and say, we think this is an error, and they're going through the process of manual
Are those
review.
things that are done by, let's say, Google machines or by humans?
Well, it was triggered by a bot, but it's definitely, it seems to be a policy decision maybe. They're putting tighter
How they
constraints.
configure the bots?
Yeah, so they picked up the keyword on the website and, that was
So,
it.
in other words, as a marketer or as a customer, if you're running paid ads, even if they're running perfect and they're performing really well, all is well, you still have to constantly monitor them because for whatever reason, it's just they stop them.
Yeah, they're not gonna. Once they're off, they're off. So it's a matter of reaching out. And,
Okay, cool. Melissa, do you have anything?
No, I kind of covered some of the things I was going to say already, so I think.
Stole the thunder, huh?
I'll piggyback on the trends going into 2020. One trend that I was seeing being discussed a lot between the agencies is, so over the past decade, we've seen 2 decades now, we've seen double-digit growth in search engine volumes year over year. That's just the standard. And now what we're seeing finally after all this time is search growth is leveling off. So whereas this has always been it's considered the holy grail of channels in digital marketing, there's always been that increased opportunity on there, which then, you don't see too much competition increase. But now what we're going to see is leveling off of search volumes. So that stays the standard, that stays, flat.
Now the quality matters.
Now competition is going to be increased. So we're going to see, customers are really going to be looking at you for creating a holistic digital marketing campaign now, rather than relying solely on one well-performing campaign. And that's something, I think we'll continue to see the shift to, we don't want to put all of our budget behind this one campaign, this one channel that we know works. We have to acknowledge that we need the holistic marketing campaign. And with the increased competition in PPC, people are going to have to get creative about the way they approach.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So,
what do you know why it's leveling off?
I just think access to computers, internet. So when we look here, it's like, especially in the USA, it's whoever. I don't know what the trends are there, but I imagine it's just if you have a computer, you have a computer at this point. I can't think of. It's access to internet should be pretty standard across the country. So I think that's pretty much what it has to do with. Does present opportunities on other search engines though, and we've talked about that in the past.
Actually, since you mentioned it, like DuckDuckGo, I think we talked about 3 weeks ago. I switched actually my browser, my standard browser, over to DuckDuckGo. And since I switched over, I met actually 3 people that actually use DuckDuckGo for years.
There you go.
It is really interesting. I do use both DuckDuckGo and Google. DuckDuckGo's I found is really better if I want to do thorough research on any topics. Anything shopping related, if I'm really looking for very concrete products, and I'm really in my mind to the shopping, I switch over to Google.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm really happy with DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
So Chris, my wife, she said she started saying, "Let's duck it." Instead of Google it.
That's great. I like that. Let's duck it. Jack Dorsey gave him a shout out last week as well. So
oh yeah,
they're gaining steam.
Oh, very good. So okay, we'll keep watching them, keep talking about them.
Yeah.
With that, that concludes episode 4 of Just On Point. So I hope you enjoyed it. See you next week.